Hi there, my name's Simon Drew, and welcome to the Practical Stoic Podcast, where I give you practical Stoic advice for modern times. If you'd like to see more information about the podcast, or if you'd like to see more of my free resources, you can go to my website. It's risetothegoodlife.com. If you have been getting a lot of value out of this podcast, then please don't forget to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you're listening to this, and leave a positive review. But for now, enjoy this episode. Hi there, my name's Simon Drew, and welcome to the Practical Stoic Podcast. This episode is dedicated to those of you who are going through something right now. Those who are feeling troubled, or feeling as though things just aren't going how they had planned. So if you're one of these people, then keep on listening. I want to share with you a quote from Marcus Aurelius, arguably one of the most qualified people who could ever give you advice on how to overcome difficulties. A man who, while emperor of Rome, endured terrible plagues, bloody wars, and devastating famine. So listen closely to his words, and I'm sure that you'll find some terrific consolation, as well as a bounty of motivation to press on. He says, quote, "When you are troubled about anything, you have forgotten this, that all things happen according to the universal nature, and forgotten this, that a man's wrongful act is nothing to thee. And further you have forgotten this, that everything which happens always happens so and will happen so, and now happens so everywhere. Forgotten this too, how close is the kinship between a man and the whole human race, for it is a community, not of a little blood or seed, but of intelligence. And you have forgotten this too, that every man's intelligence is a god, and is an efflux of the deity. And forgotten this, that everything is opinion. And lastly, you have forgotten that every man lives the present time only, and loses only this." End quote. In this quote there is terrific advice and consolation for almost any struggle in life, and I want to briefly explore each part, and offer further advice for this time in your life. First, he said that when you are feeling trouble you have forgotten that all things happen according to the universal nature. Everything that happens in life happens in accordance with the laws of nature. As there is summer, there must also be winter. As there are mountains, there must also be valleys. As there is sunshine, there must also be rain. And as there are good times in our lives, there must also by necessity be bad times. Don't make the mistake of feeling as though your troubles are any more burdensome than necessary, for we all have to deal with the natural laws of the universe. What is happening must happen, and will continue to happen in intervals throughout your life. And as the Stoics teach, the best way to free yourself from these inevitabilities is to submit to them, and to continue on your path to a more virtuous life. Next, Marcus Aurelius said that when you are feeling troubled, you have forgotten that a man's wrongful act is nothing to thee. I think that instead of elaborating more on this point, I should guide you towards episode number 8. How to deal with negative or hurtful people. If you're going through something that involves other people and you feel hurt, then this episode will hopefully enable you to take a more stoic approach to your reactions towards other people's actions. But to give you something for this episode, Marcus Aurelius said that, quote, "He who does wrong against himself. He who acts unjustly to himself, because he makes himself bad." End quote. Think about this when you are hurt by another person's actions. They are hurting themselves more than they are hurting you. And as a Stoic, it is your duty to not allow their words or deeds to affect your life, seeing as a person only has power over you if you allow them that power. Next, Marcus Aurelius said that when you are feeling troubled, you have forgotten that everything which happens always happens so and will happen so, and now happens so everywhere. I don't believe that the problems that we are facing in today's world are much different to those faced by previous generations and empires. I think that they are basically the same products, but packaged differently. Don't suppose for a second that what is happening to you is unique or special by any stretch of the imagination. Also, remember that throughout history, people have had to deal with and overcome struggles that would make your problems seem like child's play. Even today, there are people going through the worst imaginable trials that we cannot comprehend. And this has happened in the past, and it will continue to happen. Yes, what you're going through is real, and yes, it may be troubling. But if you believe your trials to be nothing so special, then you make them such. Next, Marcus Aurelius said that when you are feeling troubled, you have forgotten this: how close is the kinship between a man and the whole human race, for it is a community, not of little blood or seed, but of intelligence. Whenever you are faced with a problem that involves your friends, co-workers, family, or neighbors, remember that we are meant to live in harmony with each other. We are all brothers and sisters, and we all share a common kinship. We are, as Marcus Aurelius says, a community, and we should act as such. Try as best as you can to repair broken relationships. Apologize if you need to. Forgive if you need to. Do whatever you have to do in order to live happily alongside your fellow humans. Next, Marcus Aurelius said that when you are feeling troubled, you have forgotten that every man's intelligence is a god and is an efflux of the deity. I would take from this the message that we are all incredibly intelligent beings, and we all have the ability to use this intelligence to find ways out of the situations that are holding us back. We've all done that for as long as we've been here on Earth, and we will continue to do so. So what makes you so special that you cannot use your own divine intelligence to figure out a way forward from here? You are far more powerful than you may at first think, and you have the ability to work miracles, so go to work and make it happen. Next, Marcus Aurelius said that when you're feeling troubled, you have forgotten that everything is opinion. Consider this question: how much of the pain that you're feeling right now comes from the way that you grew up and the worldview that you developed? Stoics believe that everything is opinion, which basically is a way of saying that we all live our lives in different paradigms. What is hard to you may seem easy to someone else. What is offensive to you may be nothing to another person. What challenges you may be a walk in the park for someone else. We all live in different paradigms with different worldviews, which means that it is possible for a person to reprogram their mind to see different paradigms. If you're going through something, then it may be helpful to try and see the situation in a different light. Finally, Marcus Aurelius said that when you are feeling troubled, you have forgotten that every man lives in the present time only, and loses only this. Think of how much time and energy you're spending thinking about and worrying about the events in your life right now. Could this energy be better spent elsewhere? Remember that Stoics are all about effectiveness. It's okay to cry, and it's okay to feel sad. But as a Stoic, it is your duty to pick yourself up as soon as you possibly can, and then to move forward with purpose and resilience. What good will it do you to stress and worry and cry over this situation? Think about what you could do to rectify the problem, and take action. We live only in the present, so stop worrying about what happened yesterday, or about what will happen tomorrow. Focus on here and now. Focus on what you can do now to change tomorrow. Focus on how you can become the kind of person who sees nothing as injurious and nothing as a failure. So that's the end of the advice and consolation from Marcus Aurelius. And I hope that this advice has been helpful to you. And I also hope that I was able to honor Marcus Aurelius by expounding on his words. If you're going through something, be it now or in the future, I think that the best advice I can give you, one Stoic to another, is to go back and study the classics. Read from Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. Listen to and take their advice. Let their words instruct you about how you can become a resilient and successful human being. As you do this, I know that you'll start to see some serious shifts in your mentality, and what happens in life will bother you less and less. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Practical Stoic Podcast. I'm really excited that you're taking the time to become a better person, and I'm so grateful that so many people are using this podcast as an avenue to do that. So before I say goodbye, I did want to mention if you really want to get in contact with me, or if you have any ideas for, an episode for the podcast, or if you just have any comments or feedback, then I'd love to hear from you. You can get in touch with me by going to my website. It's risetothegoodlife.com, and you can send me an email via the contact page. Anyway, I'll talk to you next time on the Practical Stoic Podcast, but until then, I hope that this episode has helped you on your rise to the good life. Ciao. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Practical Stoic Podcast. I hope that you've gotten a lot of value out of it, and I hope that it helps you to live a better life. If you have been enjoying this podcast, then don't forget to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you're listening to this, and leave a positive review so that other people can have the chance to listen to this great work. Don't forget that you can see more free resources on my website at risetothegoodlife.com or on Facebook at Practical Stoic Quotes.